Ifunanya, my beloved daughter, why have you chosen to disgrace me? Why will you choose carpentry work over going to school? Why? In the small but bustling town of Umunze, nestled among red earth roads and vibrant market stalls, mothers boasted about their children's jam scores like prized medals, and fathers wore their children's university admission letters like abada. Education was the golden ticket out of poverty, the only proof of progress, and the ultimate dream of every parent in town. But in the heart of this education grace community lived a young woman who didn't follow the script. Her name was Ifunanya, and from the day she could walk, she had an obsession not with books, but with wood. Her fascination began innocently. As a toddler, Ifunanya would sit on the ground, gently watching ants crawl across firewood. By age 5, she was already collecting sticks and broken furniture parts from behind her mother's kiosk, trying to fix things with stone tools. I like the sound wood makes, she once told her grandmother, holding up a broken stool leg like a treasure. Her mother, Mama Ife, sold pepper and tomatoes at Eke Market. She was a widow, and like many single mothers in Umuze, she had pinned her entire future on her only child's education. University is your only hope, Ifunanya, she always said, especially on days when sales were bad and the roof leaked. You must become somebody, not like me selling pepper until my back breaks. But Ifunanya's eyes didn't light up at the mention of school the way they did when she saw timber being cut or nails hammered. She wasn't unintelligent. She was one of the brightest girls in the class, often finishing her assignments before others even understood the questions. But the classroom walls felt like a prison to her, the chalkboard like a barrier between her and the real world. Her true escape was Uncle Chukwudi's carpentry shop, a few compounds away. While other children held pencils and storybooks, Ifunanya preferred the rough grip of a hammer, the rhythm of nails being driven into timber, and the satisfying scent of sawdust in her nostrils. She would sneak out of the kiosk under the pretense of fetching water, then tiptoe to the shade just to watch her uncle at work. Na girl be this. His apprentice would laugh the first time they saw her studying the tools with wide, curious eyes. But she didn't flinch. She asked questions. So many. In fact, that her uncle eventually handed her a spare chisel one day and said, try. The first time she drove a nail straight through a plank without splitting it, her smile was brighter than the sun. That day, something clicked inside her, a sense of belonging that school never gave her. At night, when her mother returned from the market exhausted, Ifunanya would gently show her tiny models she made with leftover wood, small benches, awkward shelves, even a little flower stand. But Mama Ifunanya only sighed. Ifunanya, what will wood do for you? Will it pay your school fees? Will it find you a husband? Ifunanya never answered, but deep down, she already knew she wasn't chasing books. She was chasing something, something bold, something different, something that smelled like sawdust. At age 16, Ifunanya had just finished SS2, and it was the season where parents were selling goods and borrowing money to register their children for WAEC. Everyone around her was in a frenzy, buying textbooks, attending lessons, even sneaking into night classes. But Ifunanya was restless. While her classmates dreamt of life in the university hostels, she dreamt of a proper workshop of her own. Every time she sat in class and heard the teacher talk about isosceles triangle or oscillation reduction, her mind wandered to sanding planks, aligning corners, or oiling finished wood. She knew what was coming. She felt it in her bones. The pressure at home was rising. One evening, as the sun melted into orange behind the hills of Umunze, Ifunanya sat quietly in their one-room apartment, while her mother prepared gari and ogbono soup. Mama, she began carefully. Her mother didn't look up. I am not writing WAEC. Mama Ifunanya stopped staring. The spoon dropped into the pot with a dull splash. What did you say? I said I am not writing WAEC. I don't want to go to university. I want to be a carpenter. Mama Ifunanya turned slowly, her eyes wide with disbelief. For a long moment, she said, you want to disgrace me? Me, your mother, who sold pepper under the sun, who begged people to contribute for your school fees, who dreamt of calling you Barrister Ifunanya. Tears welled in Ifunanya's eyes, but she didn't let them fall. Mama, she said quietly, I don't hate school. I just love wood more. That's where I feel alive. Mama Ifi dropped to the floor and began to cry. The next morning, Ifunanya didn't go to school. She didn't pack her books. Instead, she wore her oldest jeans, tied her hair back with a scarf, and walked to Uncle Chukwudi's shop. I want to learn full time, she said. The old man looked at her, puzzled but not surprised. You sure? Yes, sir. And that was it. No long speeches, no dramatic farewells, just a quiet decision that changed everything. If Naya dropped out after SS2, it wasn't easy. Her friends stopped talking to her. Her teachers were disappointed. Her mother refused to speak to her for weeks. But if Naya didn't waver, she swept the workshop floor. She fetched water. She washed and listened. She carried wood on her back until her bones ached. Because some dreams don't come in caps and gown. Some come in sawdust, sweat, and rebellion. When word spread that Ifunanya had abandoned school to become a carpenter, the gossip mill turned faster than a ceiling fan during Hamatan. Is she mad? Is it not men that do that kind of work? Who will marry her with all those muscles and nails? Even her old teachers came to plead with her. You are too brilliant for this. You had the best grade in science class. But if Naya shook her head, my mind doesn't stay in the classroom. It stays in the workshop. The first few months were hard. Her hands blistered. Her mother cried almost every night. But slowly, if Naya began to carve more than just furniture, she was carving her path to success. Being the only female apprentice in a workshop of 5 men was no fairy tale. They mocked her. They hid her tools. They laughed when her cuts weren't straight or the hammer missed the nails. But if Naya had the kind of patience only a woodworker could understand. Until one day, the workshop got a major job, designing custom chairs for a new auditorium. The head carpenter had traveled. It was Ifunanya who stepped up and took charge. For 2 weeks, she worked like a machine. When others rested, she designed. When others laughed, she measured, cut, sanded, and vanished. By the time the head teacher returned, the chairs were done and they were perfect. Who did this? He asked. The boys were silent. Ifunanya, the youngest one, mumbled. From that day on, no one questioned her again. 3 years later, at age 21, if Naya had completed her apprenticeship, she started her own little workshop, the Ladies Carpenter's Touch, under a mango tree by the roadside. But she didn't just stop there. She began doing something none of the other carpenters did. She filmed her work. Using a cheap Android phone, she recorded how she transformed planks into elegant furniture. She posted these videos on Facebook, then on YouTube. Her hands moved with the grace of a sculptor, and people noticed. You made this, a woman from Asaba message. Yes, ma. Can you ship to Delta State? Others began trickling in, then pouring in. People weren't just buying furniture, they were buying into a story. A girl who chose tools over textbooks, a girl who became her own boss in a man's world, a girl who could build a wardrobe with more elegance than most men could write a CV. The day her mother walked into her fully furnished workshop, tears spilled freely. Is this all your work? She whispered. Yes, Mama. They were handmade chairs, royal looking beds, a conference table, even an Instagram wall she built herself. Customers greeted her daughter like royalty. Mama Ify, you born well oh. This your daughter they try. That evening, they sat in the workshop together. I was wrong, Mama Ify said, wiping her eyes. I thought we were throwing your life away. but you were just building it your own way. Mama, Ifunanya smiled. You were my first teacher. You taught me how to stand in the market and not be afraid. You gave me backbone. And just like that, the war between them ended. At age 24, Ifunanya was invited to speak at a Women in Tech and Trades conference in Abuja. She almost didn't go. Her English wasn't polished and she didn't feel like a big woman. But when she took the stage with sawdust still clinging to her boots, the entire room stood and clapped. She told her story, not in grammar heavy sentences, but in truth heavy words. I didn't go to the university. I didn't wear lab coats, but I wear strength. And I use my hands to build things that last. Being a woman in carpentry doesn't make me less, it makes me more. She was awarded Young Entrepreneur of the Year and offered funding to expand her workshop. Today, Ifunanya employs 7 workers, 4 of them women. She trains girls from her own town who want more than office job. She speaks in schools, reminding students that dignity isn't found only in degrees, but also in discovering your purpose. And sometimes she still gets messages from old classmates now struggling to find jobs, from teachers who once doubted her, from parents asking if their daughters can apprentice under her. She answers them all with a smile because Ifunanya, the girl who chose carpentry over classrooms, didn't fail. She simply built a future that textbooks could never have written. If you found this story interesting and relatable to everyday life, please do not forget to subscribe, like, and share for more interesting tales.